Good morning, everybody, and welcome. This morning we have a really good discussion. We're going to be talking about intuitive knowing. A few days ago, I saw a post on Instagram, and it sparked this conversation. And it was a quote from Deepak Chopra, and it was talking about intuitive knowing, intuitive knowledge. Now, this to me, right off the bat, I saw it and I was like, it's absolutely perfect. The wording, the phrase, the understanding, and what it is saying. What it is saying is clear as day. But before we do that, intuition. Let's look at intuition because that's what the intuitive knowing is based on. And it's based on our intuition. So first we have to just really understand very simply what is intuition. And intuition, the easiest way for me to say it would be knowing something, understanding something, perceiving something without conscious reasoning, right? Conscious reasoning. We look at something, okay, that looks this way, that happened this way, that was there, I experienced it, I witnessed it. We're using our conscious mind to understand, evaluate, and reason with something and come to a conclusion. Intuitive knowing is knowing, having the answer or the understanding inside you without having to have that process or that thought process, without having to have conscious reasoning. So that's what intuition is, and that's what intuitive knowing is. Intuitive knowing is just internally knowing what it is you're asking, seeking, what is happening around you. People sometimes will talk to somebody and they'll say something in one of those sensors or chakras, what they are referred to in the Hindu teachings, and I prefer to say senses, like our smell and taste, or sensors, like alerts and alarms. We're talking to somebody and a sensor, something goes off inside us and lets us know something's not right, something they're not being honest with us, something they're telling us doesn't make some sense. That right there is your intuition, that internal knowing at work, letting you know through these sensors and these energy points or these chakras, again, that they're referred to. And I just want to step into that for 1 second because lately it's been an issue that I don't like to use that word. And I want to simply explain what a chakra is. You're driving in your car, inside your oil tank, there's a sensor. When your oil gets low, it alerts that sensor, it sends a signal to the brain, the computer, and on your dashboard it says the oil is low. That's exactly what a chakra is, a point of knowing, an energy point, a receiving point, a storage point of energy within our body. Okay, so just like I was explaining about that car, when something is going wrong, something is happening around us, one of our senses, whether it's in our mind or whether it's in our heart or whether it's in our gut, goes off and it alerts our computer, our mind, that something's not right. This is what we hear are referred to as chakras and stuff. So I do just like to use plain simple words like sensor and senses, okay? So when somebody is saying something to you and something goes off inside you, however you like to call it, whatever belief you have is absolutely fine with me. I'm only explaining that these are the words I choose to use on my path from what I receive. And I'll tell you why in just a minute. So these alerts, these things, these alarms go off, and we react to those. We react to those based on our intuition. But oftentimes, we second guess. We second guess our internal knowing. How many times in this week alone have you second guessed yourself? You've had a thought, you second guessed it. Somebody told you something, you believed it, and then you second guessed it, then you didn't believe it, then you believed it, you conflicted with your thought. How many times does that happen to you? Because that's second guessing. Second guessing is not just going, no, I don't think that's how it is, I think it's this. Second guessing is that internal conflict going back and forth between conscious reasoning and internal knowing. That juggle back and forth. Conscious reasoning and internal knowing. So conscious reasoning, why do we second guess ourselves? What is this based on? Where is this coming from? When we know something in our heart, when we know something with our pure logic, when we know something in our gut is not right, why do we second guess it? What causes that? Well, again, it goes back to our perception. And this is what I was just talking about before, about why I choose to use different words. When I wrote the book of the New Light, and I'm writing the second book now, and when I write and I channel and receive and connect, what I am told, what I feel, perceive, and receive is that we are so far misguided. Our perspective has become so far misguided, monetary-based, materialistic item-based, faith-based, belief-based, when we come from the nothingness, the silence, right? The void, no words, no sight, no sound, but we come here and we perceive all these things as truth. And what has happened over the years, as all these beliefs and teachings and ways and paths have been manipulated, edited, changed, and they've been used for monetary gain and profit. Things have become corrupted. Every single spiritual teaching on the planet Earth, every single one, every single religion, every single faith and belief, every single one has been and is right now being used by somebody to make money. So they're contorting it, they're changing it based on their perspective, which again is one that was created by our parents, by society, by their grandparents, We can go way, way, way back. We can blame it on Rockefellers and this family and Rothschilds and all this, and it doesn't make a difference. We today are the people who live in this misguided perspective. So when I channel and I write my book and it is telling me basically, forget what we have been taught, I am giving you new instructions, new messages. They could be the same that were received thousands of years ago, but we're receiving new ones now to make them stronger. I am only listening to and taking what I receive. I don't care what you believe in, and I don't care what faith or path you follow. That's yours. I don't care. As long as you're nice and kind and compassionate to other people, I don't care. But the word light has been, again, just something that's been so far stretched and so misused, but here it is. The path of the new light, the book of the new light, it's letting me know the true intention of creation, and it's bypassing all these beliefs and stuff, and it's delivered to me in a way that lets me know that all these beliefs can be used and can be accepted and embraced and taught. But we have to abandon that hate, that darkness, that manipulation within, and that's the fear. And that's what causes that second guessing I was just talking about. That's what disconnects you and ruins your internal knowing and diverts you from your truth, from your truth. Not my truth, your truth. Right? So, second guessing yourself. Fear, anxiety, stress, worry, arguments, disagreements, all of these things internally are going to affect your emotions. They are going to affect your clarity. They are going to affect your conscious mind. They are going to affect the connection to the subconscious mind, which ultimately creates the mind. And that is going to affect the connection to the universe, God, the higher self, whatever you choose to believe and use. Okay? The source of all light and life, the creator of all existence. It is going to disconnect and interrupt that. It's going to interrupt and interfere with the internal signals inside your DNA, coded inside this vessel to help guide you here. It is also going to make you fear and second guess those. Fear, panic, stress, all of these things we've been taught, handed from cartoons to school to words. So, to really get into that internal knowing, to understand and really connect with your intuition, to really become that intuitive being, right? We see that word all the time on Instagram, especially, I'm an intuitive, okay? So you're listening within and you're delivering good messages. Great. Excellent. Perfect. Let's get everybody there. We've got to let go, and we've got to start to calm ourselves. That second guessing comes from the ego. It comes from the world that we exist in around us. It comes from our needs and our wants. Right? That second guessing comes from our needs and wants. Bear with me. You know you should not be eating the stuff on plate A. You should be eating what's on plate B. But man, you really love the sweets, whatever it is, you just really love the temptation. The temptation, the tempting fruits of life that are on this plate, rather than going for the health and the love and everything that's on this plate. And I didn't literally mean fruits of life, because that's what would be on this plate, right? Let's say it's a big old hunk of meat and it's a beautiful plate of fruit. Oh, everybody's eating meat. I want this meat. That's temptation. When you know that the planet was created to provide all of this that we need to exist, to walk the earth, drink from the rivers, eat from the trees and the bushes without killing anything. That's that second guessing, and it comes from the ego. It comes from because this is what we've been taught, and this is what you're going to do, and this is what I expect of you. I expect and what we expect. So we second guess ourselves based on our egoic thoughts alone. We second guess ourselves based on fear, and that entire aspect of fear, all of those things associated with it, worry, stress, chaos, anxiety, all of those things. They take away our power. They diminish our light. They flatten our celestial energy when we need to reemerge, rise, inflate within this vessel, because it's just a vehicle. Putting your stock and your faith and your belief in this white shirt or the skin and the beard is ridiculous. If it's the face you're drawn to, it's ridiculous. It's the words, not the voice, not the accent, not the colors behind me. It's the words, because you second guess yourself. People around you second guess yourself. And you realize that the people who are successful and doing well in life are those who don't second guess themselves. It's the ones that believe in themselves, and believing in yourself. Believing in yourself is not loving the image you see in the mirror. Believing in yourself is listening and believing from what you receive within, without conscious reasoning. So to get there, you need that calmness. You need that quietness. You need calm and quiet surroundings. If you're in a house with chaos and noise and TVs and screaming, it's not happening there. If your friends are all pulling you in 50 different directions, it's not happening there. You need to sit in your car, in your garage, or drive someplace and be quiet. Be quiet. No noise. Let your mind hear quiet. Your ears are perceiving, receiving, and processing noise all day long. Your mind is processing sound all day long. Boom, bap, blah, 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 blah. It's in and it's here and it's all day long, and it's just rattling around. You literally, physically, and I used to tell this to my drumming students, you literally, physically have to let your ears absorb silence. You have to let your mind literally and physically process silence and nothingness. If you're just processing sounds and sights and smells and senses all day, then you're going to blow everything out of proportion, and these alerts and these warnings, excuse me, are absolutely going to be corrupt. You've got to sit in calmness, and you've got to sit in quiet. You've got to let that ability re-emerge, and it does not just happen overnight in 2 seconds. You've got to let that fear subside and go away, and you need to connect and communicate with somebody who will understand that, somebody like me. I'm not trying to sell you anything, but we need to discuss this, and you need to understand why that fear is there and how to let it go, and that the fear is the biggest illusion of the created illusion that we walk around in. Fear, like the saying, the only thing to fear is fear itself. The only thing to fear is fear itself. And doesn't that have a whole new meaning right now? You cannot be afraid because you're only afraid of fear. You're only afraid of fear. It's not failure and it's nothing else. It's the concept of fear you're afraid of. Let it go. Calmness and quiet. Really sit. I'm not telling you to pray. I'm not telling you to meditate. I'm not telling you to do yoga. I'm not telling you to go out for a walk. I'm telling you to find a way to put on the Bose quiet headphones, stick the cotton in your ears, sit in your car, drive to a lake, get that quiet as much as you can, as often as you can. And when you start to do that, you will start to process thoughts. You will use your mind. And sooner or later, the logic, pure, intelligent knowing, the logic will override that second guessing and fear. And you will start to emerge. You will start to be whole again. You have to listen within. And you have to accept the fact that even when you second guess yourself, you have to catch that. When you catch yourself in that conflict, left or right, up or down, good or bad, the minute you catch yourself in that energy, in that vibrational field, in that existence, in that action, you've got to stop it. You've got to step back. Even if you have to abandon choice A and choice B, even if you've got to turn your back away from the entire thing, walk away from it. Because that second guessing will subside and that logic will rise. Because spontaneity, spontaneous reactions, we've become so accustomed and we are expected to answer every question like that, that we've even gotten to the point now where our own questions internally, we expect to answer and to receive the answers like that. Let that nonsense go. Give yourself the time. Give yourself the time. Don't even, like I said, when you feel that action arising, that chaos, when you're that ball in the middle bouncing back between the knowing and the second guessing, step back from that. Step away from it. Walk away. And in 5 minutes, you'll go, yeah, you know what? I really am better off not doing this. Or, I really should just save my money and do this. You know what? I really shouldn't eat that. I'm not going to do it. Hey, you know what? I'm not going to go out tonight. Whatever it is, the right answer will come to you again. Instead, we've become so used to, I got choice A in my mind and I've got choice B in my mind. I've got to make up my mind now. Which one? What? Leave me alone. What? And we create this entire massive chaotic energy instead of just going, walking away, doing the dishes, looking at the sky, talking to a friend, looking at flowers, whatever you need to do to get your mind away from it. And all of a sudden you're going to go, yeah, okay, I know what to do. It's going to come to you because you've allowed yourself the time to let that intuitive knowing, let that true knowledge rise, because you've allowed yourself the time to let the fear, the anxiety, the stress, whatever emotion has arisen from this to subside, and you have allowed that signal to come in stronger. You're receiving it nice and crystal clear, loud and clear, boom, like a bell in your head, and you go, yep, not eating that, not going there, not doing that. Allow yourself the time to sit in that calmness and quietness. Allow yourself the time to walk away from your own questions. You do not have to have the answers today. Why do you expect this of yourself? We just had an entire session on expectations and how that is one of the worst things we could do to ourselves and anybody else. Right? So go back and watch that if you need to. It's a couple of broadcasts back. But I just said, it allows us to receive these signals better. It allows us to let that internal knowing happen better. But who? Who's sending us these messages? Who is sending us these messages? Is it God? Is it an alien? Is it a past family member? Is it a dead relative? Where? What? How do we perceive these beings and names and voices? How does this happen to us? Where does that come from? Well, in some cases, it quite possibly could be true. It could. I have experienced things that have taught me that I will never doubt somebody else or their experience. If somebody says, look, man, this blue alien showed up in my room and did this and this and this, and, you know, I'm going to listen to it and I'm going to hear it and I'm going to walk away and I'm going to let my internal knowledge let me know nonsense or truth, you know, and I'll make that assessment on my own, but I'm not going to do that anymore. I did that to a person out there who has a show on Gaia. I was contacting them and going, you're lying, you're a fraud, and still believe they are, but doesn't make a difference. It's not my path. It's not my business. But who is sending us these messages? I mean, really, honestly, you know, I wrote the Book of New Light. In the Book of New Light, one of the first questions I ask is, who are you? I am the source of all. And I ask, are you God? I am the creator of all light and life, the creator of all existence. So, you know, God is a word. We know this because in the book we talk about the whole aspect of God and how there's all these gods and deities. So how could God be God if every other being out there believes it's God and things like that, right? We get into that. So who is sending us these messages? We see on Instagram and Facebook, the Pleiadians are telling us all to embrace love and kindness, and they're sending this message to humanity. We hear of this thing called the Sphere Being Alliance, these blue avians, these beings that look like birds, and they're sending humanity the same message. We hear the Arcturians are sending them the same message. You know, we hear that deities in Hindu teachings and in other various religions are communicating and connecting with people. We see ministers and reverends and stuff prancing around and dancing around on stage saying, Jesus is communicating with me. The Holy Spirit's talking to me right now, right? Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. But how do we know if this is true and this is a lie, and if they're right and if they're wrong? How do we know? How do we know? Well, the overall message is going to be a big indicator, first of all. If it's a message of anything but accepting and embracing freedom, equality, kindness, and compassion for every single living being on this planet, then it's not true. No deity, no God, no pure being of love would ever want to see hurt and harm come to anyone else. So right off the bat, we should just alert that right there. If my good book says, kill this or hurt this person for doing this, no. That needs to be erased because that is not a divine piece of information. That is man manipulating and editing divine knowledge and information. Okay? So before we answer that question about who is sending us these messages, let's go back. Let's go way, way, way back to ancient wisdom, ancient times, the gurus, the mystics, and the prophets. Think of what I'm saying right now. The gurus, the mystics, and the prophets. Who told them their information? No one. That's how far back I'm going. Because these original gurus, these original mystics, and these original prophets are the ones who have taught all of this information that has been handed down. Information that has been manipulated, edited, and all these other things that have happened to it. But it's happened long ago. And where did they get that information from back then? in here. There wasn't some Pleiadian communicating. There wasn't this communicating. There wasn't this communicating. These people, these gurus, prophets, mystics, were in situations where they had that alone time. They had that calmness and that clarity around them and within them. Those signals rose and were received. They perceived and took the time to understand and truly process them before forcing them in front of anybody's path and down anybody's throat. They let them come in and they let them resonate. And thousands of years later, here we are, still trying to make sense of these teachings, ones that have been manipulated, edited, misguided, used for monetary gain. So, who is sending these signals? If it was so easy for 50 races out there to send us signals, if it was so easy for our dead relatives to send us signals, why isn't every single person on the planet receiving all these signals at the same time from all these different beings? Why isn't your grandmother and your great-grandmother and your uncle, your husband, whatever, coming back and standing in front of you? Why isn't it going right in your head, hey, it's me, Dave, and I'm telling you to do this. If these beings can communicate with one person sitting in one house someplace else, then why are they singling out this one person because they have more crystals, they do yoga better, they burn incense more than their neighbor, so they deserve to be connected and communicated with more? No. So a whole lot of this is misconceived information. Your faith, Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, Catholic, Muslim, Jewish, atheist, scientific, metaphysical, is going to dictate the way you perceive this information. If I follow a very strict Buddhist path, then the information I'm going to be receiving is going to come from a source of Buddha. If I'm a Christian, it's going to be Jesus. If I'm a Muslim, it's going to be Allah or Muhammad. If I'm into science fiction, it's going to be, an alien or something like this. We create the reality we exist in. Now, I'm not saying that you are not in communication, in contact with a Pleiadian and Arcturian. You might be. Told you, I have experienced things that just are mind-blowing. And the disbelief I get from people is just sickening to me because I'm not trying to sell you anything. But a lot of this is nonsense. A lot of this is nonsense. A lot of this is just people telling you pure, true, beautiful knowledge, but it is coming from themselves. Many of these people are so lost and broken and live in such fear that they don't even have the confidence or the self-understanding to realize they are so much more than they perceive, and it is actually themselves delivering this. Because when we break it all down, aliens sending messages, gurus, dead relatives, gods, the source, we know that there is truly only one. And all of us, every single breathing, perceiving, conscious being, is all one within one. So it is always us, ourselves, communicating with ourselves. It does not matter what form it comes in. I wrote the Book of New Light. I channeled this information. I take only the information I receive from what I perceive to be the source, our creator. And I know inside what that is, the technology it is, and I understand how I'm receiving that, and we'll get there. But I understand that whether I think it's an alien or gray or this, it doesn't matter. Because think about this. If the creator and the universe can communicate and connect with us all, then why would it need to go to this being on this planet to send them a message to all of a sudden then send to you? Why would I need to meditate and all of a sudden this deity appears in front of me to deliver the message that's coming from the source and the creator to this deity, to me, when in fact there is no deity, there is no me, there is only the source of energy that we are. Conscious energy of awareness. We are an energy, electricity that runs through the wire that has an awareness. Every vessel, every form, every being, every name is something we create. So whether we believe it comes from here, there, or everywhere, it truly comes from the one that we are all within. Everyone, I will see you Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and this broadcast will be put up into the Spotlight section, and it will be available to watch over the next few days, and then it will be archived for the members. Everyone have a beautiful day. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Thank you. Take care.